Welcome to this next video, and today we're going to learn basic types in Python. So what are types? So basically, a type in Python is basically, we can say, a classification. So we have of certain things, okay? So we can say a string is a type. A integer, int. Bool is not none. Bool, float, list. And these are some basic types in Python that you encounter. So what is a string? A string you will have encountered before. Basically, it's this, enclosed in these quotes. Basically, when you write your print hello world statement, so print hello world, is encased in a string. This is also a string. Print. And it can't be on the same line. It's printing the string. Okay, next we have an int. Int is basically an integer, a number. This integer basically does not include decimals because it has its own type. So int basically is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Think of it as real numbers, or not real numbers. What's it called? Whole numbers. And basically int includes these. Bool is basically true or false. You can see it has the highlighting. Basically true or false. Well, right, wrong, true, and false. Float is basically the decimals. And list is basically a list. A list enclosed in these types of brackets, and then you can write, I don't know, something inside. That's a list. So we're going to explore these a little bit further. So let's look at string. You can actually kind of identify what type something is, or if it is a type, through the string you can use called type, keyword called type. So let's do something. So we want to make a string. Let's make a string enclosed in these parentheses. It needs to be enclosed in parentheses. We'll just say hello world. Now we technically already know this is already a string, but I'll show you it confirms if it's a string or not. Type print. So if we try this, and we have to remove the string, print hello world. Class is a string. The class, or what is part of, is a string, and this is a type. Cool. Now, you can do this for basically anything. You can say print, and then the type of, I don't know. Now, what's this? It's still a string, because this is an empty string. Now, let's do something with the integers. Now, let's comment this out. Int, number. So, let's just do this. This is a string. And this is an int. So let's say print, and then what's the type? Because remember, this is the parentheses for the type. This is what we're trying to identify. Let's try 1. Int. Let's test out what happens if we put 0. It's still considered an int. These are basically whole numbers. So, and you can do this for basically any number. So honestly, if we put something like a negative number, will we still consider an int? Yes. This will be basically integers. Bool. What is bool? Bool is what I told you, true and false. So let's do a type. and we can just say true. Bool. Let's try this for false. Bool. Bool also stands for what's it? Boolean. Then we have let me just give you a fun fact. What's it? Type. And let's do a none. This will actually appear as a none type, but then technically it's also a null none type, but it won't show as a type on here, but it's still the class type. That's just a fun fact. Okay, so we have bool. Okay, so let me comment this out. So let's now do float. Float is basically numbers that are decimals. So if we do a float, we'll just print and then the type, and we can just say -1 point anything random number, run, float. What happens if we do something like this? If there's an error? Well, it's an error because you can't have this. So we can just put 1.0. What would happen? Float. Basically, if it's a decimal and it is a decimal value, it's always going to be a float. Okay, there are probably many other types here, but we're going to the last one. These are just very basic types. So we're going to do, this is a list. So we're going to comment this out. And a list is basically like this. It's basically a list. You have a list of things. And lists are enclosed in these brackets. You can see right here. So let's do it. So basically, we can print. Basically, we can do a print and a type. So what do we put in these ones? In these parentheses? Well, we have to put in these 3 brackets right here. Brackets that look like this. Because if we do something like this, with just without it, it will be something else. And that's called a tuple or a tuple. But we won't learn about those today. So basically, we will actually put, basically, let's just put a random list. We can just say programming languages, Python, JavaScript, Java, and I don't know, Golang. You can put any number of things in this list. And this is also made by a 0-base index. So I'm just going to say print, and I'm going to try to actually make this a variable. So let's see, I want to assign this to a variable. So variables are very basic. So let's just say programming languages, or actually, we're just going to do this, my list. And then we're just going to copy paste. It's actually, if we try to do this, my list, and it's actually a 0-based index. So basically, the index of 0, I want to print the index of 0 in my list. So we try to run. I'm just going to comment this out. Run. Python, because this is 0. So if I just put 1, 2, I want to count 1, 2, 3, 4. And I put 4 and it didn't count as a 0-based index. It'll be wrong because it says list index out of range. Well, 4 doesn't exist because it counts as by a 0-based index. This is 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I just print 3, Golang. Now if I just put 1 or 4 and 4, what happens? Well, of course there is I have to, let's see, 4, 5, not 4, 2. Well, I can't do 2 at the same time because it has because basically we can't have multiple. Or I don't know if I should do something like this. The error. Okay. We'll just wait for that. So basically, J. How? Well, basically what we did is we wanted to basically print in number 2 the first letter of this. So that's basically how it works. So now let us do something more about just the type. So if I just print this out, class is a list. So these are the basic types in Python, and I hope this video helped, and I'll probably see you in the next video.